All right, welcome everybody. Vader Bear back again with another episode of the Circle of the Earth Fellowship Roundtable. So I hope y'all are excited tonight to get into this. Our topic today is going to be an interesting one, and we're going to kind of talk about that and get into it. I'm pretty excited about it. Oh, let me grab that. Got a couple little things missing. Okay, there we go. So, welcome everybody. Glad to see y'all back. It's been about a month or so, a little bit more since we had a stream. I did do a stream last weekend, just a little quick update video. So, if you're kind of interested in what's going on with the channel, that's a great place to check out. And then also, for those that haven't known, tomorrow and Sundays afterwards, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going to start a Bible study. We're calling it Peace Seekers. And so we're going to be going through the Apocryphal as so called, and kind of reading. We're going to start with the Testament of 12 Patriarchs and read that together. And we'll do a reading of it first. So we'll read it from the beginning to the end. And then we'll have a discussion and kind of a Bible study after. So hopefully y'all are excited for that. Sweet. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into introductions. Then we'll do a quick housekeeping, and then we'll get into the show. So yeah, let's go ahead and say hello to everyone. I saw Marsha jump in and jump out. She might be having some issues, but hopefully she'll get back in. So we'll go ahead and start with you, Robert. Long time no see. How you doing, brother? Yeah, me too, because it is kind of a, maybe 50 years ago, this is something that was just in science fiction, and maybe they were starting to do it. Now, of course, we're going to skip. I'm not saying this is the first time, right, because there's nothing new under the sun, so this isn't even new technology, it's just re-emerging technology. But even 50 years ago, right, we wouldn't even think about uh, that wouldn't really even be in our minds other than what we saw or read, right? So,
There's no sound.
oh, people are saying no sound.
We can hear you.
I apologize. Okay, 1 second. No, I changed a whole bunch of things, so that's totally my fault. Give me a second, guys, and I will. No, you're good. It's me, Robert. Give me 1 second. I'm changing that. Sorry, everyone. And go over here. Last week it was just me, so I didn't have to worry about other people's sound. Okay, let's try this. Alrighty. Boom. Alright. Will you give us a sound check, Robert?
Okay, can you hear me now?
All right, I'm gonna wait for chat. I apologize for
Check,
that.
check.
I think it's good now. I'm getting bars,
Mhm.
so it's showing me that he has audio. I just want to make sure
See a smile
that
from the baby.
y'all have audio as well. I'm just waiting
Give
for
us a
that
one.
confirmation. Okay, sweet.
Someone says yeah.
Th-
Marty
th-
says yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Sweet. All right, Robert. If you'd like to say hello again, I apologize for that to you
Okay.
and everyone else.
So yeah. Again, so far it's just us dudes, unless Marsha comes back in. I can't see. Okay. Um, and then you had said about 50 years, but it was what Metropolis the movie 1927
Okay.
that she turns into that the robot turns into the girl in there.
Yeah, and I guess 50 years is a good, well, so yeah, right, 100 years from what you're
The
saying,
concept, the
from
idea.
movies, but even before then would have been book, like Jules Verne and all of those kind of legends of the sci-fi community, they were dabbling in that information. But I guess more what my point is 50 years ago is when it was, seems like it kind of medically, technology could start re-emerging, where they started experimenting, they started this process to basically re-emerge this technology from the past. And we'll get into that aspect of it, because it does indeed come from the past. But yeah, so sweet. Welcome, Robert, and let's jump down to Kyle. Kyle, welcome, brother. Good to see you, bro.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I definitely have been missing it. And yeah, in the meantime, I've just been studying the books that I'm working on, NFPA, National Fire Sprinkler Fitter Association. So we're been doing this apprenticeship program, and it's been pretty good. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Yep.
Well, sweet. Well, welcome. This is going to be a great topic for us to all kind of poke into and pick each other's brains about. So I'm excited for that. And we got our dear brother Frankie B back with us. Welcome, sir. How are you doing?
Yo, 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 we're back, baby. Let's go. We got a new show. Let's go. Put your helmets on, because we're getting ready for a bumpy ride.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and these topics, we're talking about, in this season too, we've been talking about some pretty, you could say dark topics, right? But I think it is important for us to talk about these, but from a stance of people who are like, yeah, we know these things are out there, we know that they're working on them, but each and one of us here all has that promise of the Father that was fulfilled through the Son, and we know who wins this battle, right? So they're gonna do all their craziness. It's prophesied in Scripture, but of course we are going to talk about those things and kind of de-spiral people from them, decoupler them from having fear about these issues. Okay, sweet. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. We're going to get into the housekeeping, and then I'm doing the wrong thing, and y'all are seeing that. And then we'll get into the here we go. Boom. Go live. Pull that up for y'all. Sweet. Full screen. There we go. Okay, sweet. So what I'm gonna do is go through the housekeeping. So first of all, I want to shout out to Chris and Liz Bailey over on Taking the World. They give us the opportunity to share our puzzle pieces with their community. So if you haven't supported them, if you want to check out more content that they have, it's definitely a lot there, and I highly recommend you do so. There's some pieces of the truth to be sought there. So shout out to them. And over on our site, over on our channel, we're gaining trickling numbers, so we appreciate all the recent subscribers, as well as the people that have still give us their subscription even through this long break. So we appreciate y'all sticking around. And as always, we like to we have over here, we have debates, we have shorts, we have lots of cool other stuff that we're working on as well. So definitely go check that out, and give us a share, like, comment, or subscription. It all helps the channel grow. And then so over about a month ago, we did episode 8. I'm going to go ahead and read a couple comments that we have. It says, technology of AI will be a mechanized where the ancient spirits will inhabit them and be their energy source. Yeah, I very much think that. The flesh, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, pride of life. Yeah, people are willing to basically sacrifice their. It always blew my mind when I thought about it. Right, when you if you ask a lot of people these days, like, hey, would you upgrade your body if you could become like a superhero, or if you could live an extended life? And many people, without even thinking of the possible consequences, would say yes, absolutely. And it's quite haunting. But appreciate you for your comments. And then over on the Circle of the Earth Fellowship, we got a couple as well. Matt Binghamton said Elon is on their team. Yeah, it wouldn't really surprise me. I do think that they do this kind of balancing act where they have these people that are in these high positions propped up, and they kind of hide their things that most people would disagree with. And then, like with the truth community example, Elon is kind of this, he's almost like a plant where he does all these horrible things and all these things that truthers would completely disagree with. But then at the same time, he does what seemingly is a good thing, freeing speech and so on and so forth. It's seemingly good. And so the tactics are really, really strong with them. The grapple goes on. And then Sheep Farmer 164 said, Father Yah's heavenly timepiece with the with the holy days, H 4150 appointed of time, from the beginning established his intent for intimate fellowship with his creation. He lit an unchanging roadmap to the heavens to show all the people the way to draw close to him. He also desired all to see his perfected majesty and to experience the beauty of his holiness, hearing his voice. And that's Psalms 19, 1 through 4, and then Romans 10 through 8. And it says specifically, those who would open their spiritual eyes to discern the heavenly invitation and choose to gather intimately with him on those set apart days. They having the courage to daily set aside their own selfish ambition and worldly appointments to learn and pry towards his heavenly calendar with its biblical appointments. Excuse me, everyone. Putting Father Yah first in their lives. They are validating their love for him above their love for themselves and their love for this world. Therefore, Father Yah made the sun, moon, and the stars with the firmament as a clock, each having their specific roles. Amen. Yeah. And when you realize the truth of the earth, all that makes a lot more sense than if you think it's a spinning ball hurling through the emptiness of the void. So, anyways, we have, thank you for your comments, everyone. We have a link in the description, as well as you can copy just this part right here into Discord. Come and join us. We have a community over there. We also do after shows where we can have a little bit more of an uncensored conversation about these topics and various other topics. So if you're interested in that, check that out. We also have a merch shop. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, not only do you get a nice piece of merch, but you also get to support the channel. So we appreciate any and all of that. And couple of resources real quick that I want to mention: Bible Gateway, Bible Hub, amazing resources. They have the concordances, Strong's, Lexicon. Totally worth your time if you're interested in digging deep and finding some of those puzzle pieces out there. And also there is sacredtext.net. It's a really great website, and definitely check it out. And if you haven't seen the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, definitely worth their read. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we're going to be starting a new series called Peace Seekers, where we're going to start reading through this Apocrypha together in a Bible study format. That will start tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, so I hope to see y'all there. Sweet. All right, let's get into the conversation. I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share, and we're just going to sit here and chat a little bit. I'm going to look over into chat as well and see what y'all are saying over there. And just want to shout out a couple people before we get into the discussion. So let me pull that up. Boom. Oh, why is it all weird? Oh, no, not that one. Don't move. All my stuff is breaking. No. Okay, this all needs to be locked. You don't go anywhere. Okay, there we go. Okay, so can I pull this one down? Oops. Apologize, everyone. I'm just trying to get y'all's chats on screen. For some reason, this one is bugging out. What the heck? Alright, there we go. Okay, let's pull this over. Sweet. All right. So we have Country Dad. Cool. Yes, indeed. Welcome. I'm going to try to scroll up here to the top. We got Elohim's Medicine. Welcome. Shamgar. Welcome. Mark. Welcome, brother. Country Dad. Welcome, brother. Good to see you as always. Hope your family is doing well. We got, of course, Kyle in the chat. AA Creations. We got Daniel, welcome, sister, glad to see you. We got Oops as well, welcome, sister, hope you are doing well. We got Shara as well, welcome, Beetlejuice, Country Fun, good to see you, sisters. And, our sister Wendy Moore, welcome, hope you're doing well. And I think that's, we got Joy as well, good to see you, Joy, hope you are doing well, sister. Tyler Porter's in the house, welcome, brother, good to see you as well. And I think I got everyone. My lovely wife is there as well. And like she said, please don't forget to hit the like button. It does help the channel grow. Sweet. All right. So we'll get back to chat here in a little bit, but let's kind of start diving deep into it. So I labeled this episode Corrupted Promise, and we're talking about transhumanism. So I feel like going back kind of to the beginning, and if we look in Genesis 2, when Adam and Eve are in the garden, and specifically Eve is in the garden in the midst of it, and we have the serpent beguile Eve into eating the fruit. We kind of have this statement that's made, and the statement is really interesting because when we look at Scripture, there's kind of two schools of thought. People are kind of along the thoughts of, okay, well, he said, when you eat of it, you shall surely die, right? God said that. And then we have the serpent saying, well, no, you're not going to die. And what do we see? We have a camp of thought that, okay, well, he didn't die as a day as 1,000 years, and he died within that 1,000 years. That's one camp. And another camp is more of a metaphorical. There's other camps, of course, but another camp is more metaphorical, saying like he spiritually died. That's when sin entered the world, and they go more from that metaphorical, allegorical sense of this event. And but regardless of those things, I think it's kind of interesting when because kind of that promise, right? Like, for you shall surely not die, because when you eat from the tree thereof, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be like God, knowing the difference of good and evil. And so it's almost not only are you not going to die, but you're going to be like God. And that's assuming this kind of eternality of God, and then also putting in the good and evil, putting yourself in a position of God, because we know that the Father surely has the knowledge of good and evil, but his behavior is so perfect that he is always doing the perfect behavior because he is God. And so that. I don't know if y'all can hear my dog. She's going a little crazy. But the reason why I want to bring that up, because I feel like in the garden, this is when we kind of got the first promise where Adam and Eve, or at least to the spirit of man, received this promise where indeed we could be like God, knowing the difference of good and evil, and not dying. And so I think this is kind of a good starting place to discuss this topic, because I think that corrupted promise is, at least part right now, one of the forms of one of those forms of them trying to achieve this corrupted promise is transhumanism. What say ye, my brothers?
I totally agree. I think it goes all the way back to the garden and that promise that the serpent made, that you shall be as gods. Um, I the steps they may take to do that, I think, are almost innumerous. Though a lot of people have like a set concept of what they think they're trying to accomplish with transhumanism, when I think it's like almost an overarching sort of philosophy that, some people want to be like trans species and be, partially another animal, or or perhaps upload their minds into an avatar, or it really is endless. But the philosophy behind it, that these individuals want to live forever and want to do that away aside from what God has set, um, it is essentially their entire message. And I think there's prophecy about these people as well. Um, so that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, awesome. Robert,
Mhm.
Frankie B, thoughts on that?
Yeah, so they definitely been looking for the fountain of youth um, forever, looking for a way to look young, stay young, but stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take it with you, but maybe you can stay with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You They're looking for yeah, back in Noah's time, and then after Noah's time, where we still hear about them doing things to manipulate the body to um, be bigger, taller, the still the giants, and but
Nimrod.
still the goal is to live forever, right? And not wait on the promise of the Lord. We don't want to be dependent on the Lord. We don't want to go on His side. We want to go do this ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's their goal, really, is if they can figure out more specifically on this part, is if you can actually get your essence inside that shell, that ghost shell, and live forever. I mean, that's what they're looking for, right?
Yeah, and see, I think it's so interesting what you bring up, because that what you just brought up is more of a focus of next one, and it's like, and I do realize that transhumanism and clones are very closely related to each other, and kind of to piggyback on both what both of y'all said. I almost imagine, like the Hydra, right, or the octopus is a really good example, because the octopus, like the head of it, is one specific goal. They have one desire, but they have their hands in all of these other avenues so that they can make that goal come about. Now, they're not sold on clones per se. They're not sold on augmenting your body. They're sold on whichever way works, right? Like, that's their goal, is we need to find one of these way to works. And you were also talking, Kyle, about how some people want to be like pan species. Of course, they're going to use those avenues, those people that have those desires, those lusts of the flesh, and the pride of life. Those people are going to seek that and pay for it, and be a part of the research to make it happen. And so, yeah, they have all these ways that we've seen, at least within entertainment and science fiction, on how it theoretically or possibly could be possible. But we definitely know that transhumanism is one of them, because we see these things going on, and these this type, even with the most latest jab, right? It seems like they were, at least if it wasn't directly doing what the fear said about it, it was at least putting it on the people's minds, where it's like, hey, what if it is a good idea to GMO your body so that you don't have to deal with this type of stuff ever, right? And so there's all these routes. So if you really think about it, something like doing the most recent jab, at least again as it was described, or in the truth community how it was explained, you could almost say that is transhumanism, right? You're adding something to your body that changes it in a way that you don't that you overcome a weakness. So I'd like to get more from you guys, but I'll give Frankie B a chance to chime in. What's your thoughts, brother?
So the whole thing is, we were willfully and wonderfully designed. Your body
Amen.
does everything it needs to do. It rejuvenates, it creates stem cells, creates melatonin, DMT so you can sleep well. Everything that we need, God put into us. And the transhuman movement is to get us out of our rejuvenated state. Your body has the ability to rejuvenate. That's why it says that our youth is renewed like unto the eagles, because we have the ability to rejuvenate cells, to make your cells stronger, to regrow cartilage, to do all these things. And the whole pharmakeia movement is to get us away from living a healthier, pure, connected to this realm life, and with all the jabs, with all the computer chip in your brain that you'll be able to hook up to the internet. All these things are to manipulate the rejuvenating power that God has put in us. And I give the Creator all glory for that, because He willfully and wonderfully designed us so that we can live a prosperous and healthy, glorifying life unto Him.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of these things are are a corrupted promise. They're literally things we're already promised, but we just haven't received them yet, right? And it's like all these pieces, the world, in the lust of the flesh, right? The people don't, most people who are secular, atheists, etc., they don't like thinking about death, right? Because as soon as they're dead, it's all gone. All that they're, everything. And so for them to have the idea of being able to continue on, and definitely if they're rich, right? If they're rich, then they have even more reason to live on, right? Maybe if you're a worker that's, works from 16 to, 70, 40 hours a week worker, right? Like, and if you have a relationship with the creator, right? You're like, what? So I don't have to pay bills anymore and I get to go rest? Like, that's way of a better deal than being in this world perpetually. And so what a corrupted promise, what a corrupted deal that they're really peddling. So here's something I want to kind of propose to y'all, get y'all's thoughts on, is from all the different aspects of transhumanism that you kind of have seen or heard about, or maybe just even a little bit. What do you think is each of you, what do y'all think is going to be the winner, or to say which one do you think will be the one that catches on first? Will it be like the Neuralink where people really get chips put in their head? Do you think it's going to be, like we see in Sweden where they're putting chips into their hands so that they can get into the door? I would say that is a form of transhumanism. They're augmenting their body for a weakness of losing your keys, forgetting your password, not bringing your key card to work, right? It's already inside of you. You don't have to worry about that. So yeah, what are y'all's kind of thoughts of where y'all, what do y'all think y'all see more as a more prevalent road they're heading down? Or if not that answer, if you don't really have an answer for that, anything more about this topic that you'd like to add?
You're on mute.
Yeah, Kyle.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
I think those are all potential steps that are along the way that may lead to something a little more damning, I guess, at the end. I think based on what they claim, they want to totally change their DNA into something else. They have some strange concepts to make themselves into superhuman in that way by adding another strand of DNA into it, make a triple helix. So I think there are potentially a combination of things that could go on where somebody could start off with getting those, chips in their hands, chips in their brains, and then changing their entire DNA to the core, and in hopes eventually that they can take their spirit and put it in some type of, material container like a genie in a bottle to hold them for all eternity to escape their condemnation they're, trying to
You
get away
know
from.
what's crazy about this, and it made me think about it when you brought it up. Is like they're so scared of God, right? And they don't want to believe in God. They hate God, whatever it is, and they're trying to receive this eternal life. Which, by the way, that God that they hate promises if you, if you call upon His Son's name, and on His Son's authority. Uh, but they're willing to have a human be their god, right? And what I mean by that is, even if you say, okay, the AI is created all this technology, whatever it is, there's going to be someone behind that paid for all of that software, for all of that hardware. And we see phone companies, right? Like they can just sell your phone data, your data, your information, your geolocations. They can sell all of these things for money. And yet people don't think that if they augment their body, if they change their DNA, that there isn't going to be some back door, right? Like we even know that most of the issues that we have with the security within the internet and within computers is specifically because Alphabet Agency requested from those hardware and software companies explicitly, I shouldn't say request, just as specifically demanding that back doors, back holes be made into that software so that they can, for the security of the nation. And so to be naive to think that they wouldn't also, if they are, let's say that, hypothetically for a situation, they are able to change your DNA, specific your eyes so you can see as far as a hog, or change your muscle fibers like a cheetah so you can run really fast. Even if it's,
Vader.
oh, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, if they can shut a car off remotely, if you get a chip in your brain, they could shut parts of your brain off.
And we've literally seen it in like spy movies, right? Where they get the little bomb implanted in their head and just a signal, it's just a little poop and they're dead. Right?
And all that stuff, this advanced stuff, it's not going to the average person. The jab with the poison in it is going to the average person. The entering the key, the doors at work, that's for corporate. That's for people that are high scale earners that are access all this stuff that they're promising. We're never going to see that. None of the average workers are going to see that. That's for the elites and like the people in Capital City from the Hunger Games. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think that will be passed down eventually. It's like getting a
I think
plasma
that's all
TV.
distraction. My personal
Getting a
opinion.
plasma TV years ago, it cost you, thousands and thousands of dollars, and now you can go and get a big, huge screen, flat screen TV for dollars. I think like you were asking, what would be the first thing? There's two things probably for the for your normal, average, healthy human would be two things. One would be to be able to have something on you, because it's really not that much of a thing to
Mm-hmm.
have a chip inside you that you just put over the your little scanner at the checkout line, and so you don't have to carry it. You don't have to have your wallet with you and whatnot. The other thing is for the health monitoring chip connected to your phone. You connect it to your whatever, to your doctor, so your doctor can monitor your health and administer medicine if needed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a very I mean, who wouldn't jump on that?
Yeah,
Right?
and to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, right? they don't come out in the beginning. They didn't come out in the beginning and say, "Hey, we're doing all this research, so one day we can create
Yeah.
a concocted evolution for mankind for us to become the new species."
Master
No,
race.
yeah, they say, "Hey, that paraplegic man, if we create this brain
Mhm.
chip, all of a sudden, this what, oh, all the kidnappings, all the missing peoples, all the murder cases, right? Well, if we have the chips in everyone's hands, we'll know where everyone is all the time, and so these things can't happen." And of course, that's not true, even if that was implemented. And we've seen through Black Mirror and other sci-fi dystopian, kind of views, how quickly and easy, even in the imagination, these type of technologies can go awry and cause a lot of problems. And I don't think that is the problem. I think the problem is the fear that ensues, that instills within the hearts of man, with the hearts of people. And so I think that's really what we're up against, because like this stuff is going to come. There's going to be chimeras. There's going to be, body manipulation, mutilation. There's going to be all types of bizarre things that, whatever generation where those things really are thrust upon society, they're going to see some pretty bizarre things. But at the same time, again, all of these things are offers, and you cannot participate in these things in very much so. And so just real quick, I think you brought up the pay with everything with the chip in your hand, and we were kind of, well, they're already baby stepping with that with the Apple Watch. Now, I'm not condemning anybody with an Apple Watch or a smartwatch. I'm just saying, think about how like it went from the phone to your hand, right? Like this was almost a different thing than the wrist, and so even that you could kind of, with us having phones, with us having smartwatches, with us having cars, you can almost kind of call us transhumans or androids in the definition of the word, right? Because we are augmenting our reality with technology and for convenience and various other things. So I know I'm being long-winded, but I just think that that those baby steps is how we get there in the first place. So a lot of these things, like just real quick, a little anecdotal story. When I was a kid and, watching movies, it was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so amazing when we get full AR and where, what I'm looking at, I can't tell the difference between, it's real or not. And I remember looking at old video games and thinking, I wonder when the graphics will be so good that you can't tell the difference. And while that, knowing what I know is not an easy task, they've made leaps and strides in that, with that technology and in that pursuit. And so the reason why I bring that up is because, we have the new AR, the goggles, I forget what they're called, by Apple. Anyone know off the top of their head?
Ocular.
Yeah, the new VR goggles. Anyways, those new VR goggles, that's just like, that's the testing grounds, right, guys? Because really think about it. They have this huge thing that goes in front of your face, okay? Well, a computer used to be the size of a building. It was a warehouse-sized computers. Now we have computers in the palm of our hands where this technology is so much more advanced than what they even had in that in that warehouse. So to think that they're not going to be able to get something this big to something that's contact size, right? And if they're getting circuitry and stuff that size, well then who's to say they're not able to cut, instead of a LASIK surgery, all of a sudden you get a whole new eyeball, like top of your eyeball, and now it's all digital where you can see at night, and there's all these benefits to going through this through the surgery. And so they're gonna make it beautiful and convenient, and yes, it will be expensive in the beginning, but like all technologies, as it keeps producing, and definitely if society picks it up, which we know that a lot of these corrupted technologies that are for this purpose in this pursuit are going to get picked up by the secular world, by the world, and fund it, you know. And so it's pretty interesting. Long-winded thought,
Yeah.
long-winded, but thoughts any there, guys?
There's a lot of people who right now will go under the knife for a lot less of a reward, a lot less of a lasting, effect that has. There's a lot of people having surgeries done. Let's just go with that. I imagine if you increase that benefit from what they would get from it, a hundredfold by claiming they may be able to live forever or live until they can live forever, until they've discovered a way to live forever, or that they can become, superhuman, super powerful, all these, cure their disease. It doesn't matter. I mean, if a boy wants to be a girl now, they'll just, and go ahead. But in the future, it may just be, it may not be that kind of scenario. It may be people just trying to be, something else entirely. Robert?
Well, since there's, on that thought though, ethereal, now I know Wendy, who's in the chat, she works in medicine. My wife, she works in medicine. And you have people out there that they're not happy with who they started life with, and they want to be something different. And so it starts out with the hospitals telling everybody that they have to acknowledge that person of how they identify as, but they still treated them as what they were. Now, when they're looking at these charts and they're treating the patients, now, if you know how in medicine you have to treat the person with who they are, what gender they are, their biology, their weight, their I mean you can't just I mean even when you bring your pet into the veterinarian, they weigh the pet so they know how much medicine to give that. Um, but now it's really hard for them to know what to do with them because they are legally a certain thing, and that's how they have to treat them how they really are, but they don't. They see on the charts what they are as identified as, and it's like someone's gonna screw up and make a mistake and give the wrong amount or the wrong kind of medicine to someone because of that, you know, and because someone wants to be something different because they are not happy with who they were.
I feel like we
Yeah,
could
Not
take a
good.
second and talk about that real quick. I was actually had this interesting thought today where I was like, so most of the people that are in this type of within that community, within that mindset, are typically secular views. They're atheists, Gnostics, etc. And what's interesting to me is they say, okay, well, gender and sex are two different things, right? Almost as if they have a spirit, and they're saying my body is a male, but my spirit is a female. But they don't
Yeah.
accept that spirit female, right? They don't accept that there's a spirit at all, right? But they still use that in their argument to express, oh, it's like I'm in the wrong body. I have a spirit in the wrong body. And they don't even realize that they make those type of arguments. They do it for so many things. And so to me, that's why I see that community as disingenuous, as not honest, and not honest, because of those contradiction of views. And I think, especially within this time era, and that being such a prevalent topic, I think it is definitely being used as if, again, we're talked about the money, right? The money pouring into it, the world that is accepting of it and that pours the money into it feeds the research and the technology within that field. And so I don't know, I haven't seen this, but from what I've heard, there are some very convincing medical procedures where if you weren't a doctor, you wouldn't know one way or the other. And so I bring that up because go back, X amount of years, when this kind of surgery kind of first started, it was very haggard. It was very, barbaristic, and its uses, and there still is today. But what my point is it's going to keep escalating. Well, let's look at these technologies that aren't as personal, meaning they're just changing their outer appearance, right? Let's talk about these changes that are, worldwide. And so one thing that I want to bring up, and I'm sure we've kind of talked about it before, but the line in what is it, Saudi Arabia? Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the big wall thing that they're building out there. Yeah, the line.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're
so
talking about.
I'm gonna try to find this article real quick.
Yeah, real quick. Did you
Go
guys
ahead.
see the video of a doctor interviewing a transgender man and trying to tell him that he was pregnant? And he's arguing. He said, "A man can't be pregnant. I don't understand how you're going to tell me that I'm pregnant." And it was kind of comical, but it was sad that the doctor was like, "I have to treat you at what you are," and the guy just wouldn't get it, and trying to say it as unhateful as possible.
All right, I'm bringing this up. Yeah, it's a weird thing, and it's okay. Here, I'm gonna pull this up, share screen real quick. Talk about this real quick. Oh, of course, we got all these bright minds, right? All of these. I don't want to accept your cookies. I will for the stream.
Genetically modify yourself to live here.
Yeah, look, we got a Michio Kaku.
Oh, yeah.
And here,
Else you could use.
they're using that, that science. Why can I not think of the word cred to prop this up? So okay, so
Right.
real quick for those that don't know, the line is a project somewhere in the Middle East. I don't know exactly where. It probably says somewhere. But anyways, it says it's a 500 meter above sea, but land saving, 200 meters wide. It's going to be a total of 170 kilometers long. And it says it's a cognitive city stretching across 170 kilometers from the epic mountains of Neom across inspirational desert valleys to the beautiful Red Sea. A mirrored architectural masterpiece towering 500 meters above sea level, but a land-saving 200 meters width. The line redefines the concept of urban development and what cities of the future will look like. So to kind of go down here, no cars, no roads, no cars, no emissions. It'll run up on quote-unquote renewable energy. By the way, human beings are renewable energy. So just remember, when they say renewable energy, that's not always a good thing. It says the line will eventually accommodate 9 million people and will be built on a footprint of just 34 square kilometers. This means a reduction in infrastructure, blah, 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 climate change. Ooh, how nice. So here's like a little graphic of it. It's a very thin, long city. And it goes through all this stuff. Unparalleled access, clean air for everyone, more time spent with loved ones, a perfect climate all year round. Right? Who wouldn't want all of these things, right? It sounds so great. And so I want to see if we can find this stuff about the GMO directly, because I don't know if that's something they're going to really promote. Oh, I guess they have a whole bunch of different projects. This is being really laggy right now. Apologize everyone for that. Okay. I want to go about. Let's see what this is. CSR initiatives.
Is that a virtual city? Or a
No,
real city?
this is a real
That's
city.
real.
They've already broken ground. They've already started construction.
Already developing.
This is more in line of the 15-minute or 5-minute city. You'll
Yes.
never have to, you plug yourself in there, you never have to leave there for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Got it, everything there.
Yeah, and you have to get genetically modified to live there.
You have
One of
to
their
work-
mandates.
You have to. What kind of work would you do?
So they haven't. They said that there's going to be malls and shopping and hospitals and everything is going to be contained in this city. So you're not going to have to leave the city for anything. They will have sports teams there. They will have entertainment. They will have jobs. All of it. It's going to be a full-fledged New York directly in there.
What kind of modification do you need?
Well, this is what I'm trying to find. That's what I'm saying. I know that I've read it, and I've read but I'm trying to find exactly where it talks about it. And again, I don't know if they're gonna have that just directly on their thing, but I feel like it would be in this section. I just don't know. But anyways, okay. So I'm not gonna sit here all stream and try to point this down. Do your own research for sure. But I have seen articles talking about this specific group, this specific city will require you to be genetically modified in order to live within it. And they give various reasons for why that is, why they are doing these things. And of course, they always are listed as beneficial things, never as anything nefarious. Here's a great big picture of that. So they have these ideas of these types of cities where you almost become an ant to a hive mind, guys. Does this sound familiar? Is this another form of control that they're reaching after? And what better yet to do it within a contained city, right? It literally reminds me of so many video games where they do experiments in contained cities so that if something goes wrong, right? Like, think about how easy, guys, it would be to bomb the line. Think about that.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking about how easy it would be just bury him in there.
To what?
Just bury him in there. Just weld their door shut.
Yeah. But even more so a bomb, right? Like, that's like there's not stuff spread apart. It's literally in a line. And so you're talking about a nation comes and there were genetic modified people. That sounds like a great testing ground and a place that's easily, defensible, if that makes
How many
sense.
people can they fit in that city? Does it say?
It said 9. I think it said 9 million.
Jeez.
Could you imagine a pestilence? If something biblical broke out there.
Uh huh.
Oh yeah.
So-
Guaranteed that's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, so even in things like that, right? That's another avenue they're going down where it's like, okay, well, what's the incentive here? Well, you get a city that's self-contained, safe, reliable, probably cheap minus your labor. Who knows how they're going to have the economical system? Who knows? But the promises, you see that website and it's like our goals and our desires to be self-sustained and reliable and healthy and all these things. There's so many benefits. It's like all you do, like it's like, hey, we'll give you a Krispy Kreme, just take this jab. And of course, it's much more exaggerated from that point in what they're offering. But of course, the negative, the offer that you're getting is supposedly way better. So very, very interesting indeed. Okay, so yeah, do y'all have anything that y'all kind of want to jump in? And then we got some videos that Kyle's sharing with us to check out.
Is there going to be any homeless in that city?
No.
You know, every city has a homeless community.
That's a very good question.
There's no way. You think they'd allow that?
I assume they would just kill them.
Yeah.
Renewable resources. I forgot.
Yeah. Right. They need some extra protein because they're cow printing 3D printers down. Okay, sweet. So, is there? I don't know. Did you post any specific times?
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. We'll check these out. We'll kind of jump around and see what they're talking about and see what that sparks conversation in us, and then we'll go from there. So let's check this one out.
I was wondering if about. Say we did gain the capability to create genetically modified humans or just regular humans from scratch. So what would stop the military from creating humans that had no parents and were perfectly expendable? Nobody would miss them if they died. So like how would we prevent that?
In the next few decades, the conversion to 3D printing with two other technologies, which will enable us to take a digital design and make it into a physical thing. The first of those technologies is synthetic biology, which takes advantage of the fact that life itself is based on a digital code, the code stored in DNA, which is turned into a physical thing. That's what life does. And the other technology is nanotechnology. Not the technology we use at the moment to make microprocessors and nanocomposites, nanocoatings, that's a top-down technology, but a bottom-up nanoscale technology called atomically precise manufacturing. Nanotech 2.0, if you like.
But seriously, even if I disregard the Uncle Carl factor, at best I have 60 years left.
How long, huh?
60 only takes me to here. I need to get to here.
What's there?
The earliest estimate of the singularity, when man will be able to transfer his consciousness into machines and achieve immortality.
So you're upset about missing out on becoming some sort of freakish, self-aware robot?
By this much.
Bioprinting has traditionally meant printing biocompatible materials as a base for cells to grow. Though it may sound far-fetched, scientists have already managed to print a human ear and other tissues. Doctors take a scan of the organ to create a 3D blueprint. Cells are then taken from the patient, which are then placed in a culture to multiply. The cells are then painstakingly placed on the 3D printed scaffold, which is then incubated to produce a functioning organ. 3D bioprinting solutions opened its labs in September 2013. With the sole purpose of advancing tissue engineering. Supported by the Moscow Department of Healthcare and in vitro labs, the Skolkovo resident should soon have all the equipment necessary to manufacture organs. It's also working on a revolutionary bioprinting technique. The method still requires the 3D printed cell molds commonly used to store and grow various cell types, but crucially, it no longer requires the scaffold around which they are placed.
In 2014, Russia will have its first 3D bioprinter. This will far surpass any previous models, as it will be produced using nanotechnologies. Its speed and accuracy will far exceed that of any of the current models. And perhaps most importantly, It won't even be that expensive.
Excuse me, everyone.
Traditional tissue engineering methods involve removing all the cells from a dead human or animal organ, leaving only the protein scaffold, which is then repopulated with stem cells and incubated. Mironov has taken this a step further and has come up with a method for printing an organ directly without the use of any organic or artificial. It involves extracting stem cells from the patient's fat tissue, which are then mixed with a hydrogel and placed in 3D printed molds. These are then incubated to produce spheroids, which are the building blocks of organ printing. From here, you can pretty much print any organ you like.
If you're able to select for certain traits, you could actually groom a whole generation.
There we go. Okay. I wanted to take a second and pause real quick before I forgot about this. They were saying earlier how these converging technologies are quickly, kind of reusing the word, but the technologies are quickly converging to give them new technologies, new abilities that they didn't have previously. And that was kind of my example of the octopus, right? With their hands and everything. They're reaching and feeling for what works, and what works they are going to focus in on, dial down into, and start, pushing those through. And so we can see, at least through what we've seen of this video so far, there's not just one thing, guys. There's not one way they're trying to bring transhumanism to fruition. There are dozens and dozens of ways, with their others 3D printing, whether it's like that electrical part that they were using. There's so many avenues, and we see, right, one of the things they want to do is make super athletes, super soldiers, super citizens. And we've seen this so much before. And I real quick, thinking of soldiers, thinking of athletes real quick, we even see the dabbling of transhumanism when it comes to steroid use, right? Where they're putting stuff into their body. They're using technologies, much like the giants after the pre-Diluvian age, so the second era, how they were using similar technologies, right, to gain muscles, to gain height, to gain these different things through consumption of certain stuff. So any thoughts from the panel before we continue on?
Yeah, I agree. I think they have their hands in everything, and they will use what will deceive the people the best, but also is what is most conducive to their own kingdom being built.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's keep chugging along.
Of athletes that are super athletes.
We already select for 7-foot-tall basketball players. If we actually start engineering them, maybe they'll be 12.
The human organism is a general purpose organism. We adapted.
I just want to say, did you hear them say engineering them? A little racist, are we?
For adaptability. Every one of us has a vast range of possibilities. If we go fooling around with our biology, we're liable to diminish ourselves, not enhance ourselves.
Hi, and welcome. Ooh. Thank you. Trick each other. So welcome to Chicago, where it's freezing cold. You just joined Autodesk, and I want to hear all about this. So tell me what your new title is.
My title is Distinguished Research Scientist with the Bio-Nano Programmable Matter Group at Autodesk.
That's a mouthful.
It is. It's a conversation starter.
Can you tell us what that means in plain English?
Really, the short story is we're working now to envision what the software design tools might be like for really small and potentially living things.
The stage we're at with synthetic biology is the same stage that we were with personal computers back in the late 70s.
Absolutely.
Where people were, it was like homebrew computer club. People were building their...
I just want to say, what a sync, where I was literally talking about how computers used to be warehouse sized, very, very same example here.
Their own computers in their garages or their dens, Kind of like the labs that I was talking about a minute ago.
Exactly, except now we're working with a different type of computer, really bacteria. They're like information processors that do chemicals, but they're different. They're programmable, but the cool thing is they also make more of themselves. So they're like computers that can reproduce. This is pretty powerful.
That's amazing.
And if you look at a bacterial genome, it has about 5 megabits of information. Really, a small photograph. But this is enough to program a living thing. And really, if you've got a software program, you have to learn the basics. You have to learn how to read it, you have to learn how to write it.
One cell.
Yep. Oh, they couldn't hear me. So, I have to interrupt it real quick. You know how there's that whole story, guys, of with evolution, you got the primordial ooze and you got the lightning strike. These people can't even create the basis of life. Now they're talking about programmable life. They're talking about it replicating. Now, again, I'm not saying this stuff is impossible, but I'm just saying, okay, these machines are replicating themselves. Where are they creating the parts from? Are there also other little machines that are creating the parts that the other machines need? Okay, well, the ones that are creating the things, are there ones that are creating them and they're given the parts that are needed? And so, you could just keep going with these silly ideas. And so some of these things, I think this is very much like we see with modern cosmology, right? Where they have this base idea that we're a sphere, and so they get the radius of that sphere, they base the size, the distances of the celestial bodies, the luminaries, based upon that supposed imposed radius value, and they come up with all these great things of how you could space travel and how you could time travel and how you could do all of these things based upon this simple R value that was created and inferred, assumed since its conception. And so in the same way, I feel like we have this going on where people are sold on these ideas for the exaggerated version and the beautiful picture that they're painting of how great these technologies are going to be, are obviously no way in any shape or form going to be what's actually delivered. What's actually going to be delivered is you're going to be turned into an I Am Legend vampire, or you're going to be turned into a zombie, or a hive-minded invasion of the body snatchers drone. And so the picture they're painting, how fanciful it is still going to be a catfish of the actual technology when it emerges. Sorry, pretty long-winded. All right, let's keep going.
We've been sequencing with devices like this. This is a desktop. It's about the size of a laser printer, but it can do a whole human genome. And reading it, we're starting to comprehend more and more of the basic tools of life, this is a simulator for the first bacterial cell. It's actually
what's
really
going
cool.
on? What is this
We're
a picture of?
actually modeling all the chemical processes that happen in a single bacterium and understanding what's going on below the hood.
So this is a computer model of a cell.
Computer model of a living cell.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's the first time we've ever done this. This was published by Stanford this last summer. And really what we're doing now is we're starting to learn how to write code.
Thanks.
We started writing genetic code back in the 1970s using something called recombinant DNA technologies. It was cutting and splicing genetic code. And really, if you take a look at it, you end up kind of writing ransom note style. You can write anything, but it takes a long time to do. The shift with synthetic biology, and what makes it so powerful, is now we can actually use computer software. We don't need a lab anymore. We don't need these tools, which are really restrictive. We can start using laptops.
So they virtualized the lab.
Yes, essentially now we have word processors for DNA. And the cool thing is we have printers. Companies like DNA 2.0, and there's a bunch of other ones, will print out your DNA, kind of like a Kinko's used to, prints out color copies.
So the analogy to computers is actually total.
It's really close.
So the idea, in the 80s when personal computers got good, we went from desktop, word composition to desktop publishing, and that was a big change in the print business.
Now we're getting desktop biotech. And so it's
Unbelievable.
push-button DNA, and this is...
So you can compose DNA using a browser.
You can compose DNA using
And
a
you hit-
browser.
you
can
hit a button and
print.
send it.
They'll send it off to you.
That's awesome.
And this is opening up biotechnology to a whole new generation
So
of people that
awesome.
are younger and know how to work with computers in the same way that 30 years ago kids started playing with personal computers.
Hang on a sec. So it's genetically engineered machines. So they're thinking about life as a kind of like a robot or a machine that you can control.
Yeah, we look at simple bacteria as really being little robots that are programmable. And the groups that are
Hadn't occurred to
really, really getting good at this, well, they're using robots to do not just printing of DNA, but actually booting of the organism and testing. So this is allowing people to really have biotechnology done remotely. Really
Wow,
just
that's cool.
send a design, they'll build and test.
That's a big one. So hang on. That means you could design an organism on your desktop computer, your laptop computer at Starbucks even, and then send it out to get not just printed or not just have the DNA compiled for you, but you could actually have the organism made, manufactured, produced. What
Made,
what verb do they
tested,
use?
and the results come back to you, and you can decide whether you're going to.
So if you didn't get it right the first time, you can do it again.
Do it again.
In fact, when most people think about the stuff that we're talking about, they get freaked out. This is scary stuff for most people. I don't know about the,
All right,
young...
let's it's a cool conversation. Let's skip to the next is to see if this is the whole thing. Oh wait, let's get this guy. This guy looks like he's an opponent to this other guy. Let's see what he has to say. Jump up a little bit. Oh, come on.
as maybe a fantasy, there is this kind of creepy undertone. When we talk about reprogramming biology, look, there's some bad history here, and it's the shadow, the specter, if you will, of eugenics that's in the background. And so tell me about that. I mean, how real of a concern is there with the idea of kind of designer babies?
So real quick, I think this is actually a good something I did want to talk about when it comes to transhumanism. And you see back there in the background, you have the epigenetics like tree, and we did a short about genetics voiced by the lovely the Mrs. Vader on the channel. So check it out if you haven't seen it. Anyways, we were talking earlier, and it may have been Frankie or Robert that were mentioning, well, only the rich people are going to be able to afford these things. And while I did make the rebuttal that over time these could, could be made cheaper, like we see a lot of technologies, and I also believe that this could be a new form of classism, of epigenetics, because surely, just normal humans wouldn't have a reason to call themselves superior, right? And do genocides or wars based upon that belief. Just imagine if there was the ability for peoples to upgrade themselves to these super beings, to these evolved humans, and what that would look like in form of supremacy, right? Because if they really are smarter, stronger, faster, well, then by definition they are supreme humans. And how will that work out in our life? And what I would say is, let's jump back. I'm going to make this small real quick. Let's jump back and look in the book of Enoch, and let's see what happened when these beings, these mighty men, roamed the face of the earth. What kind of corruption and terror and suffering and savagery that was brought upon mankind in the world, so much that God had to get rid of even the even if there was no one left, he still had to flood the world to get rid of all of that, and that was on the world. It still came back, and again, let's, if it wasn't for God, being with Joshua and the people, they would not have been able to defeat those armies, right? We see what happened when one man out of the entire nation tried to hide some material goods, some gold and some garments and stuff for himself, how quickly they were defeated. So we know that the only reason why they were successful against these armies was, because God was with them. And I think that's kind of an important thing to kind of realize. But going off on a little tangent there. Any thoughts about that there, brothers? No? Okay.
Yeah, I definitely think Enoch makes a good case for why these type of activities are prohibited. But simply, I mean, if it goes back to those days, just the consuming, devouring of, of the flesh, of human flesh, and bringing people into slavery and trafficking, it's all the abominations we know today. I just assume it would be done by even more powerful people with stronger abilities for a time.
Gosh dang it. Thank you for adding me. I hate when I do that. Sometimes when I move this wire, I bump my mic, and it's not even this mic. I apologize, everyone. So what I was saying was, all that technology that has been happening for thousands of years is literally magnum opus. Thank you. Perfect. Kyle, is like this is all their technologies, all their work, all their money, all their desire, all poured into what I believe will be revealed and will happen in the time of the tribulation. And that's why, I connect it to that's why I think really one of the big pushes, or not pushes, one of the paradigm shifts that's going to happen will actually be based upon Revelation 9. And with that technology out here, right, they're going to get the locusts, they're going to study them, they're going to gain all this, alien technology that they're going to use to make superhuman, that's more how I see it than it coming out before then. I think they're working towards it, but I think that will be the catalyst for them to really propel, making it a time unlike any other time before. Of course, I observe my right to be wrong. Okay. Sweet. Let's listen to a little bit of this, watch some of the other videos before we close it out. We got about 30 minutes, so let's keep chugging along.
But with selecting people, selecting traits.
Before there's designer babies, there's what's been called microeugenics, the kind of figuring out what the genome of your prospective baby is and eliminating the one and implanting the one you want. Pre-implantation genetic diagnosis is part of this. So that's the first thing. Then there are, of course, a whole bunch of proposals for designer babies, but you know, it's not as simple as that. An organism is a very complex thing. Genes are more like colors on a painter's palette. They get mixed. So if you change a gene, you're not going to just get the trait you're after, but you're going to change a lot of other things too. In fact, the human being, there's talk about producing post-humans, transhumans, technosapiens. I think this is good stuff in that it provokes a lot of very serious conversation, but it's also a lot of science fiction. In fact, we're a very complex, fine-tuned organism. The moral and spiritual meaning of our lives is tied in with the physical structure of our lives. And if we go and change basic things in our structure, we may just write ourselves right out of our own story.
Oh my gosh, I think that's literally, and I think you kind of hinted upon it earlier, Kyle. Oh, I made the wrong thing. Small. Let me get back here. And I think you kind of hinted on it earlier, Kyle. And he said we're gonna write. The guy on the set just said we're gonna write ourselves out of our own story. And I don't know. Like maybe that was the spirit. Maybe he's actually flowing in the gravy. And sorry. And he's talking. You know, he brought up the spiritual part. But the verse that comes to mind, and I'm gonna paraphrase it because I can't think exactly what it is. I don't got the Sean recall of the Bible just quite yet. Is those whose names are not written in the book of life since the foundation of the earth, right? So not the ones that are blotted out, the ones that were written out of the story. Right, the ones that aren't even in the book, and I think that's
exactly kind of like the Shadeen.
Yeah, and I this is what I wonder is now that I kind of make my statement, because like guys, be careful at which, you know, most of us, you know, I'm not really saying this, but to those who would ever think of any of these type of transhumanism surgeries or aspects that you could bring into your life, do you think that they could be positive? Let's say you watch and you have Parkinson's and you just, if you get this chip in your brain, then you don't ever have to deal with it again. I'm just saying, if anyone's thinking about that, you might really want to double think it, because let's say you have Parkinson's, I have no idea what that is, and I'm sorry for what you would be going through, but to say to maybe write yourself out of the book of life because you wanted to have a little bit more life, physical life here on this earth, I don't think that's a very good deal for your eternal spirit. And so I think pointing that out is very important, because these changes, some of them may seem small, right? And, and I'm not saying that the jab did this, right? I'm not saying those that got the jab, that they're under this and they're no longer human and out of the book of life. I'm not saying that. But we don't know that line. We don't know where the line is, but that where we are of God's creation, of and under his image, or we are outside of that. And because we don't know that line, crossing it even a little, I don't know what the ramifications are. I thankfully, I'm not the judge and the arbiter. I am not I'm not the Father. I'm not the Son. So I don't have to make those judgment calls on other people's, beings. But I often wonder, where's that line? What are y'all's thoughts about that line?
I used to think I would know what that line was, but anymore, honestly, that line could be anywhere. Some people will say it's, the jab. Some people, will say it's when you transplant your soul into a computer. I don't I don't know where the line is, and I don't necessarily know if there's multiple lines. Um, all I can say is it's against his commandments regardless, and that's enough for me not to do it. Like it, taking these technologies is against his instructions. So if you're a believer, that should be enough for one to just not do it in the first place.
See, and I wonder about that, right? Because within the modern Christianity, within the modern world, you know, a lot of Christians will, you know, and I'm not, this isn't me throwing stones, right? Again, I don't, in all conversations, I have jealously observed the right to be wrong. But what I want to say is, like, Christians get radiation, right? Because they have cancer. And so it's like, at what, even that, and I'm not saying where that line is, but I'm saying a Christian who does that, are they putting their faith in God, or are they putting their faith in the world? You know what I mean? And it's like that answer seems pretty obvious, but again, where's that line? What, you know, at what point do you no longer, it's kind of like that paradox where it's like, if you have a boat and then over 10 years, you completely change every single piece of that boat, every bolt, every piece of metal, every part, is it still the same boat?
Right. Well, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kyle. I'll go after you.
Okay. I was just gonna say, you know, if you're a believer, then there should be a reassurance in you of your everlasting, you know, immortality that's to come. That you shouldn't have to necessarily depend on these technologies to save your physical life because you have a promised better one. But I understand that in certain situations, especially when someone's mortality is on the line and they're dying, you know, that when an offer for something to save your life comes across, I definitely see how easy it would be to fall into that and accept it. If it happened in the future that that offer was something that would also make your soul, you know, basically unredeemable, yeah, that's a little scary. I think it'd just be better to stay away from it all from the beginning.
Yeah, I have that exact thought, because it's like, again, we don't know where that line is. So it's like, you know, are you willing to live a little bit longer? You know, if that's even to say that radiation, as an example, is the good way to go, and if you go that way, it will guarantee or will give you more life, right? That's not even a guarantee, right? Like, that could be ending your life quicker and, you know, more profitable for the hospitals. But yeah, so anyways, what were you gonna say, Frankie B?
Yeah, I mean, all right, if you really have faith in Christ and you have salvation, why are you fighting to stay here? To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. I mean, yeah, you want to spend time with your family members, but for the first part, you're not trusting in God if you actually do get cancer, because cancer comes from fear and just living in a past paradigm or a fear of the future. It comes from anxiety. The word disease is taken from dis-ease. If you're constantly in dis-ease, you're going to get disease.
Yeah.
So then you really have to question, where is your faith? Is your
Mhm.
faith in, are you living a godly life? Are you living a life consecrated to God, believing in God? Or are you just like a ship being thrown to and fro in a storm?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah, just like during Clown World, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many people were running out, getting tested, taking the jabs, in the fear of, oh my God, this imaginary thing is going to kill me. I
Yep.
mean, and you had Christians, you had churches shutting down,
Yeah,
and
and that's
you
really
can't
what I
come
was
back.
Yeah, that's
you can't come back unless you get the jab.
Yeah, and that's what I was really aiming at, is how the Christian community, right? They're literally mixing oil and water. They're literally taking the oil, the pure oil of the word, and they're mixing it with the water of the world. And it's the two can't mix, but they just keep stirring it together, you know, acting like it's gonna mix together. And you can't have people led by the Spirit and their hope in God and the Son of Man, you know, the Christ He sent us, if you're also using the world's wisdom and knowledge to keep you safe and secure. Like, wait, who's your stone? Who's your fortress? Who's your strong foundation? Is it the world and their quote unquote knowledge, or is it the Father and his, you know, because it's like, if you're gonna die, like all of us here, it's like, if you're gonna die, there's nothing that you can do that's gonna stop it, right? It's like, it's your time. As he created a day for you to be born, he created you for a day for you to die. So yeah, anyways, okay, that was a cool information. Let's jump through some of this other stuff before we get off. Okay, this is Initiative 2045. Is there anything you wanted to point out in particular about this?
I think it kind of, if you just look at the page, just roughly, it kind of shows these stages right there. That very top right one. Yeah, that is their agenda to making this happen over the next, 20 whatever years they need to make this happen.
We got Michio Kaku, right? That connection with the line, right? Like, we literally just saw him, and here we see this little silly boy again. Okay, let me open this up. Open a new tab. But I also had this manifesto, so let's look at that too. Open that. Oh, and this roadmap. Let's look at those three things.
Of course, you can join if you really want to. No.
Space in trouble in the White House watching. SpaceX had to deliver he needed to deliver the thumb drive with all the renderings of the 3D models. All right, so this is 2045 Avatar project milestones. It says between 2015 to 2020, a robotic copy of a human body remotely controlled via BCI. I guess that they have at least done that with Sophia, right? It's not a full body, and so they claim it could totally be an animatron, right? 2020 to 2025, an avatar in which a human brain is transplanted at the end of one's life. Yeah, not even close to that. There's no, in 1 year, if they have that, my mind will be blown. But
at least they're trying to do that now.
This is their goal. Yeah, this is their goals. An avatar, 2030 to 2035, an avatar with an artificial brain in which a human personality is transferred at the end of one's life, right? Because all we are electrical and chemical reactions, right? And then 2040 to 2045, a hologram-like avatar. So wait, you go from, they're doing all this work to get to a body to then eventually be like, no, we're going to ditch the body and go to a hologram? Ooh, sounds like they're just going to slowly kill people until it's like, you're just an avatar in a computer. You don't even need a body anymore.
See, there you are.
All right, mankind has turned into a consumer society standing at the edge of a total loss of the conceptual guidelines necessary for future evolution. The majority of people are almost exclusively absorbed in merely maintaining their own comfortable lives. Modern civilization, with its space stations, nuclear submarines, iPhones, and Segways, cannot save mankind from the limitations of the physical abilities of our bodies, nor from the diseases and death. We are not satisfied with modern achievements of scientific and technological progress. Science working for satisfaction of consumer needs will not be able to ensure a technological breakthrough towards a radical different way of life. We believe that the world needs a different ideology paradigm. Within its framework, it is necessary to form a major objective capable of pointing out a new direction for the development of all mankind and ensuring the achievement of a scientific and technical revolution. The new ideology should assert, as one of its priorities, I might add, the necessity of using breakthrough technologies for an improvement of man himself and not only his environment. All right, hopefully y'all enjoyed that little ramble, little voiceover of mine. How ridiculous. We believe that before 2045, an artificial body will be created that will not only surpass the existing body in terms of functionality, but will also achieve perfection of form and no less attractive than the human body. What?
Hologram? A hologram is okay. You guys want to just turn yourselves into laser beams and shoot yourself into space, but we're the crazy ones.
Oh God. Okay, wait. People will make independent decisions about the extension of their lives and the possibilities for personal development in a new body after the resources of the biological body have been exhausted. Oh God, these people are psycho. All right, let's check out this little. They're saying project name. What? Name. Project name. Like, is this like copy paste? This has to be fake, right? Like this has
one? Maybe.
It has to be a troll, man. Maybe it's really not, but just like name, project name, controlling subject, who is in control, the object of control, how is it controlled, means of control, control interface. It's like, oh my God. These people are psychos. All right, let's got about 10 more minutes. Let's check out these last few things before it's time to go.
Eventually, computer chips will cost a penny, which is the cost of scrap paper. They'll be everywhere and nowhere, including your eyeball in your contact lens. You'll blink and you'll be online. And who were the first people to buy internet contact lenses? College students taking final examinations. They will blink and see all the answers to my exam right there in their contact lens. And this could be very useful if you're at a cocktail party and there's some very important people there that could influence your future, but you don't know who they are. In the future, you'll know exactly who to suck up to at any cocktail party. On a blind date, they could be great because, of course, your blind date could say that he's single, he's rich, and he's successful. But your contact lens says that he pays child support, that he's 3 times divorced, and the guy is a total loser. So, yes, we're going to have almost infinite knowledge. And then beyond that, we will communicate mentally. That is, we'll be able to think about emails, think about images, memories, and send them on the internet. Already, we can record memories. This was done 2 years ago at Wake Forest University and also in Los Angeles. We've been able to record small memory, short memories in mice. Now it's being done on monkeys. Next, Alzheimer's patients. They'll push a button and memories will come flooding into their hippocampus. And maybe one day, you'll push a button and have that vacation that you've never had. So we're entering.
Remind anyone of Total Recall, the movie. Go take a vacation.
Entering a new era where the internet itself could become BrainNet. BrainNet could replace digital internet. Instead of zeros and ones, you'll send emotions, feelings, memories on the internet.
God.
And of course, teenagers will love it.
How could that ever be abused?
Instead of putting a happy face at the end of every sentence, they'll put the entire emotion. their first dance, their first date, their first kiss, right there on the internet. And that's going to revolutionize entertainment. Because remember the talkies? When the talkies came, the silent movies went out of business. No one wanted to see Charlie Chaplin when you could hear actors talk. So movies are nothing but sound and a screen. Think of what will happen when you could feel emotions, sensations, feel what the actor is feeling. Then the movies will seem so barbaric. They'll seem such like a dinosaur technology once we have BrainNet capable of sending emotions, feelings on the internet.
Big think, weak words, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. All right, let's see what Steal the Bike Tyson has to say.
There's something called the generation that will have escape velocity. Do you know what that is? Okay, I'll tell you what it is. In the last 50 years, we've increased life expectancy 20 years. In the last 10 years, we've increased life expectancy by 5 years. So there will be a time where in the last year, we increased life expectancy by a year. At that moment, Homo sapiens have achieved escape velocity from death. That generation will never die unless you're hit by a bus. That brings you the question, if you could live forever, would you? And there's something called the generation.
Yeah, most people would totally say, yes, I want to live forever apart from God. And that's exactly the corrupted promise that the evil one told them in the very beginning. So this is not something new. This goal, this desire of them to do these things, to become more than human, to transcend the body that the Father gave us, and to utterly go into something of their own creation, their own godhood. Many people do desire that, and we see that evil in that corruption and the ramifications of those people seeking out that corrupted promise in our day, in our lives every day. So that's why we also, seeing these evils and not being afraid, we're told hundreds of times not to be afraid. That even though these things are coming and these technologies are here or right around the corner, we have a Father in heaven that loves us, and we have a Son who, and we have His Son, our High Priest, who intercedes for us daily, and so that grace is abundant and is plentiful. But I think to really to hold dear what the Father gave us within our lives, with this body that He's given us, is so important, because we don't know where that line is, where in essence we're kind of claiming our own godhood and stepping beyond the bounds of our authority and surpassing it. Not surpassing it, but in a desire to usurp it from the Father. So sweet. All right, let's keep going. Satanic transhumanism, the future of reason. Yeah, we've all seen this before. Of course, we're talking about all these medical things, right? They're going from this medical angle, and sure enough, and we've talked about this before, that the Baphomet has the double caduceus, the medical symbol. If you include his wings, you have the whole setup right here on the satanic symbol, right in front of everyone's eyes. And so, of course, we have a medical angle on this transhumanism, as opposed to they're not coming from an economical, hey, everyone, this will make everyone smart, where we'll be able to create robots where we can all have this perfect life, right? They're not going it from that angle. They're going from a medical angle. And that's very, very telling. Here's a news article. It won't let me read the whole thing.
Yeah,
but
I didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah, let's just read a little. Oh, go ahead. Tell me what
I was just saying the first few paragraphs are telling enough.
can you grab it and you want to read it for us?
Yep, I sure can. Transhumanism can't escape the fact that it has religious undertones. The core of the movement involves a desire to overcome death, which inevitably aligns with the religious worldviews. So no one should be too shocked that religious organizations are starting to become attracted to transhumanism. But for secular futurists who want transhumanism to hold strong as scientific-based movement, the religious undertones are a problem. One solution is just to ignore the undertones and carry on promoting advancements in science and technology. The other this seems reasonable. Many transhumanists, I'm sure, take this view by default, but there is no downside in that this approach inevitably allows religious groups to join the narrative over the mythical and spiritual aspects that are inherent to the movement. Arguably, a better solution is thought to incorporate the symbolic language of religion into transhumanism while adhering to a strict code of rationality. This approach would not only thwart the agenda of faith based transhumanists, but would also help the transhumanist movement embrace a long history of pagan mythology and esotericism that led up to modern transhumanism. It turns out this project of embracing ancient symbolism while maintaining a fully scientific based view of the world has already been assembled. It's called Satanism. That's pretty much where I.
Wow. But what a mic drop, right? As like, this is medium. This is like, people pay for these stories, and they're literally getting. Like, they're being told straight up, like, all this stuff is, we already have something, we already have a religion that has all of these pillars. It's called Satanism.
Yep.
It's what we've been talking about all along. All right, we
like
got.
They said, the paganism and the esotericism is what transhuman is based on, and that's exactly what Satanism is.
Yep. So, all right, we got a 3-minute video, and then we'll call it a stream. And our buys, I'll give some people some reminders, but let's check this out real quick.
Transhumanism is essentially the philosophical school of thought that says that human beings should use technology to transcend their limitations. That it's perfectly natural for us to use our tools to overcome our boundaries, to extend our minds, to extend our mindware using these technological scaffoldings. The philosophers Andy Clark and David Chalmers talk about technology as a scaffolding that extends our thought, our reach, and our vision. Ray Kurzweil reminds us, 100,000 years ago in the savannas of Africa, when we picked up a stick on the floor and used it to reach a fruit on a really high tree, we've been using our tools to extend our reach. Technology
He's so
is
racist,
us.
he's calling
Technology
everyone
is
monkeys.
our extended phenotype, as Dawkins says. Technology is our second skin. We're not the only species that does so. You know, the termites build these enormous termite colonies, which are temperature controlled. I mean, our cities, like the termite colony, are really who we are. You know, if you're able to like make that cognitive shift and transcend what Andy Clark calls the skin bag bias and realize that we don't end where our skin tissue ends.
Like climate control inside their. I think so. Yeah. Installing HVAC systems in their. Right.
but that we are tethered to our technological surroundings and to our dwellings, and that what we design designs us back because what we design is us ultimately, you start to realize that technology, we're a technology making species the same way a spider is a spider web making species. You know, Kevin Kelly, who co-founded Wired magazine, describes technology as the seventh kingdom of life. He calls it the technium. He says that it's subject to the same evolution.
Sorry, guys, I was muted. All I was really saying in there was I don't get if this guy is trying to say that termites are conscious of creating an AC, air conditioning within their hives, because he's then saying that they're thinking about these highly advanced ideas. And if he's giving that much conscious to termites, like, it's kind of crazy. But it was kind of just a tangent. I apologize for that, though. Let's keep going.
Evolutionary forces is biological evolution. You know, that's the craziness here, is that we're finding more and more that our technological systems are mirroring some of the most advanced natural systems in nature. You know, the internet is wired like the neurons in our brain, which is wired like computer models of dark matter in the universe. They all share the same intertangled fundamental structure. What does this tell us? That there is no distinction between the born and the made. All of it is nature. All of it is us. So to be human is to be transhuman. But the reason we're at a pivotal point in history is because now we've decommissioned natural selection. You know, this notion that we are now the chief agents of evolution, right? Edward O. Wilson reminds us we now get to decide who we become. Freeman Dyson, in the near future, a new generation of artists composing genomes with the fluency that Blake and Byron wrote verses. You know, with biological biotech transformation, we're talking about software that writes its own hardware, life itself, the new canvas for the artist, nanotechnology, patterning matter, programmable matter. The whole world becomes computable. Life itself, programmable, upgradable. What does this say about what it means to be human? It means that what it is to be human is to transform and transcend. We've always done it. We're not the same species we were 100,000 years ago. We're not going to be the same species tomorrow. Craig Venter recently said, we got to understand that we are a software-driven species.
Oh, so we are just electrical chemical reactions. This guy literally thinks all he is a meat sack chemical electrical factory. Like, it's so dumb. Oh my god.
No, there's no spirit behind it. It's just a bunch of electrical components in the brain firing, and you seeing images somehow, and none of it having any meaning at the end of your life, which is, of course, what he hopes is the case, because then he can escape judgment.
Yeah, and that's why that's why he needs transhumanism. He needs for there to be a way where he can live forever, which, you know, even if they get that goal right, they're not gonna have much time, right? So they're gonna write themselves out of their own stories, and they're gonna be caught holding the bag. So so that's why we put Father in our life first. That's why we focus on him and his behaviors, and that's why we call him only Abba, right? And that's why we practice the Father's behaviors, and just like his Son, who we disciple after, who we want to be like, because of how perfectly he fulfilled the Torah. So. All right, guys, that will be it for episode 9, Transhumanism. Of course, remember, after this, we will have an after show on Discord. So if you're not already on Discord, check the link in the description. Come join us there if you're interested. And then also for Discord, tomorrow... we're going to be doing the Peace Seekers, the Bible study on the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs. We're going to be reading through it and then discussing it. Will be on Discord too. So even if you want to come in, camera off, muted, and just have me and just hear it be read out, feel free to do that. If you want to come and join and give some ideas, critiques, praises to the scripture that we read. We're going to be starting with the book of Reuben. Please feel free to come. That will also be on Discord if you want to join. If you don't want to do it on Discord, of course, I'd love to see you in YouTube chat. And remember, guys, like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. It really, really does help the channel grow. So we appreciate anyone who does take the time to show us that support. Sweet. All right. Well, let's go ahead and go through everyone. We'll say a quick goodbye, and we'll get out of here. So we'll jump over to you, Robert. If you'd like to tell the brothers and sisters goodbye.
Yep. Good night, everybody. See you over on the Discord channel.
Oh yeah, come over there for the uncensored full conversation, and love to see you over there. Kyle?
Yeah, I think going away from this, man is appointed to live once and then death, and then comes the judgment. So there is no escape from it. There's nothing you can do. These people won't escape it, neither can you. With that said, everyone, Yah has provided a way for you to have something better and more fulfilling and everlasting than anything they could possibly come up with, eternal life-wise. That nothing that they can do or offer even comes close to what the Father offers. So choose that. Choose His commandments. Choose His Son. Shalom, everyone.
Absolutely. Good cue off there. And we'll jump over to you, Frankie B. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, don't worry about what they want to do. Just live in the present moment. Get out with nature. Eat a holistic diet. Live clean. Live out of disease, and you won't have any disease. And just keep your mind free. You were wonderfully and willfully designed. God put everything inside of you. Everything you need. If you just do some research on YouTube, you'll find out how you were designed and how to just live a pure and clean, wholesome life through fasting, diet. I'm down to 220. I lost a total of 65 pounds in the last 3 years.
Nice, brother.
I'm just look, and they tell you don't look into the sun, but the best way to get vitamin D is to look into the sun. It won't hurt your eyes. Your eyes, Jesus said, your eyes are the portal. Your eyes receive it's one of your receivers. So when you look into the sun, you're absorbing vitamin D. That's why they give us sunglasses.
This is not medical. This is not medical advice.
No, it's not medical. It's just information how to live a holistic, clean life.
I'm just saying YouTube.
Oh yeah, I know. I hear how you're saying.
Yeah,
absolutely,
but, absolutely.
There's a ton of information out there. Do your research.
Yeah, like he literally created us a terrarium, right? And inside this terrarium, he put everything we could possibly need. And we should look to his creation, not man's creation, for healing. Because he put all the plants for us here. He put all the animals here definitely has something to do with it. Sweet. All right. Well, thank you, Robert. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Frankie B, for all being here tonight. For those, yep. For those that weren't able to make it, we miss ya. Hope you see it next time. For those that joined us in the live chat, thank you so much for being here. It was love to see y'all chatting away and having a good time as we were throughout the episode. So we appreciate you. Until next time, guys, remember that ABBA loved you first. Good night, everybody.
search of matter. You raise up a standard to beat back our enemy. You establish this realm, and like a scroll you spread it out. Dig deep, search it out. Dig deep, seek it out. Dig deep, go on and walk it out. Dig deep, I give you oil to fill up your cup. I give you enough to fill up your lamps. Yeah, yeah, you keep them trimmed, you keep them neat, you keep on worshiping